Hi guys, today we are continuing to play this spooky visual novel. Honestly, the last time when I was playing the first episode, I almost fell asleep because it was very cozy to read, but I assume the game is going to escalate and become more scary, so we will see today how it will go. Episode 2, Time to Play with You. New school, new teachers, and most importantly, new classmates, who I always have trouble connecting with. Like most other kids with glasses, probably. I forced myself to get out of my warm bed. Dad would usually drive me to my old school, but this morning the bedroom of my parents was silent. Did they sleep in? Maybe it was a good thing. I didn't want to get the daddy's boy reputation from day one. My parents were probably still tucked in, dreaming about the good old days when everything was so simple and easy. Sweet dreams, even if far removed from reality. I silently sneaked out to the first floor so I wouldn't wake up anybody, especially the peacefully sleeping Ola. Oh, it looks more sinister. I did my best to step on the middle of every floorboard. I think I did something similar when I was a child. I used to play like this even in our old apartment. If my soles touched the space between floorboards, it counted as stepping into lava. The clock was spurring me on with its hands. I need to hurry. Faster, faster. I was too fast, so I needed to circle the hallway once again. Boiling lava was bursting out of the cracks between floorboards. I needed to watch my step to survive at any cost. Hippity hop, like a frog jumping on molehills, like a fearful bunny in a grove full of wolves. I made a sandwich in the kitchen, shoved it down my throat and drank it down with cold tea. My appetite was as good as of someone being led up the scaffold toward a guillotine. I lowered my gaze and saw that one of my feet was standing on two floorboards at the same time. Burned to a crisp, huh? I moved my foot. Disgusting little snakes writhed in my belly, the fear of getting hit and being called nasty names. The clock clicked. I need to go. It was dark outside, fitting for an early winter morning. This darkness never fully left the house around here. I took my time tying my shoes, buttoning up the puffy down jacket, trying to delay my unpleasant exit into the semi-dark, into the unnerving unknown. I rubbed my glasses for good luck, though I couldn't remember a single time these thick pieces of glass brought me any good fortune. The sky was akin to a giant bruise. On the east side of it, a black cloud was swelling up. It licked up stars from the sky and extinguished the rising sun. Darkness was plastered all over the treetops. The cautious cries of birds got tangled up in the thicket. I locked the front door with a long key that I wore around my neck. My parents made me wear this noose, afraid that I, being a total klutz that I am, could lose the key otherwise. The wind whizzed on the other side of the gate. It invited me into my new life, toward dubious adventures. And tagged along like an old body, pushing me in the back. White shadows that pines throughout covered a third of the clearing. Upon reaching the edge of the forest, I hid my nose in the coat's collar. I was squeezing through the thin firebreak, my hair ruffled up and my back hunched over. Tall trees stood on both sides of the tiny trail. The snowy blanket rustled under my feet, and the canopy of intertwined branches above my head cut me off from the already sparse starlight. The night had no plans on moving away from the forest. In this darkness, trees reminded me of shaggy old women that swelled of burial earth. Their trunks turned into cracked, wrinkled faces with holes in the middle as their mouths. If I lost focus even for a moment, mold-covered witches would drag me into the forest's depths. Then my parents would be walking around those parts, screaming my name. But the dead can't answer the living. Or can they? A sense of panic was growing in my chest. I was fine with Dad carrying me into the school in his hands by now, if it saved me from watching the darkness rise up in the ravines like black dough. It felt like someone jumped into the bushes behind me, so I turned around. As soon as I started walking faster, I heard the snow squeak behind me. The forest took a deep breath with its giant lungs. The windfall cracked. The wind and the birds were left behind in the field. Now I could only hear the forest creak. I walked, listening closely, and the unseen presence grew stronger. As if someone was following me, trying to match the pace of my footsteps. I turned my head so fast it made my neck crunch. A tiny trail behind me disappeared into the darkness. 3 branches overlapped, forming a natural tunnel. Who's there? The question escaped my lips and dissolved into the unending creaking sound of the wooden idols, the pines around me. Why did I think going through the forest alone was a good idea? I'm either going mad, or someone had intentionally lured me away from my home. Distant lights granted me a smidgen of hope. A country road. I ran there as fast as I could, as if afraid that the trail will shrink. Clawed hands will grip me by the shoulders, turn me around, and make me look at the faces of hungry forest denizens. In the end, nobody stopped me. I almost flew to the decrepit wooden bridge, disbelieving my luck. The bridge's supports bathed in a spring, tarry and ice cold. I put my hands on my knees and looked up at the forest. Then snorted, trying to calm my breathing. The thicket was pretending to be asleep. It looked peaceful, lifeless. The remaining part of my commute lay through a snow-laden road, illuminated by sparse lamplights. I chased away bad thoughts and ran as fast as I could from one circle of light to another, seeking protection from electric lamps. Just like in that game, where you need to be the first to proclaim, "I'm protected." Tag, a kid's game where one player needs to tag other players by touching them with their hand, making them eat. In certain zones, normally called the ghoul, players can stay safe from tagging. It's just in this case that protection was flimsy at best, with darkness writhing outside its bounds. Then I noticed something remarkably eerie. In a place where the light from an inclined lamp couldn't reach, a hairy, crooked shadow came alive with a guttural roar. It almost felt like its features deterred light. Its unnatural pose instilled fear. My eyes almost popped out of their sockets as I just stood there, blinking, trying to chase away that illusion. But the shadow didn't disappear and even got closer. My insides were gripped by horror. I stepped back and almost fell into a snow pile. The black silhouette, on the other hand, straightened up and addressed me in a sweet voice. "Sneaking around, huh? Trying to steal my soul?" Words got stuck in my throat. Who could be talking in such a silky voice here, between the forest and the dormant village? "Will you say something, dummy?" "A cat got your tongue." "All right, I'll bite off your nose then." "That'll teach you not to poke it in places it doesn't belong." A girl stood before me, judging from the voice and the silhouette. But I couldn't even reprimand myself for getting scared by a girl before noticing a gaping mouth under her hood with something dangerously shiny inside. I was stunned. From the cavity of her hood, a frighteningly real fox face was staring straight at me. It's just her jaws weren't moving, and her eyes weren't blinking. A mask. It's just a girl with a fox mask on. At least I wanted to think that. After a surprise like that, a nervous smile involuntarily crept onto my face. "I was just going to school and then you..." "What about me? Never seen a fox feed a dog?" And indeed, there was a small dog circling the girl's legs, one of the strays that were chasing me yesterday, probably. "Sorry, I didn't mean to..." After hearing my voice, the dog whimpered, lowered its ears, sniffed me out, and then started wagging its tail. I guess I still smelled of, well, bologna that I ate for breakfast. I was shifting my gaze back and forth from the dog to the girl. She didn't seem scary anymore, just weird. "So you didn't mean to, huh? What's your name?" "I'm Anton." "And you?" "I am not." Ha ha ha. She's weird, definitely has a couple loose screws. But she has a nice voice. My astonishment has turned into a mix of happiness and relief. This girl I didn't know was definitely human, if a bit eccentric. I was also a bit angry at myself. This foxy girl was walking through the darkness without problem, and I shuddered from every little sound. Well, if I've seen stuff like he did, I would probably also be scared when I go outside when it's dark. I could just walk away, but this girl had piqued my interest. The next time a police officer asks me about my friends at the new place, I'll tell him that I befriended a talking fox. "Do you live around here?" "In the village?" The fox giggled and purred. She spun around so hard the hem of her coat lifted up. "No, dummy. Foxes don't live in villages." "So you live in the forest then?" "Have you been living under a rock?" It's obvious that foxes can't survive anywhere near humans, as long as they are foxes. Her jokes were also weird, just like her carnival mask, papier-mâché with fur glued into it. A dog reminded us of its existence with a loud bark. I unfastened my backpack. Dad would sometimes throw food in there without my knowledge, cookies, apples, or even my favorite crab sticks. He called it a gift from the bunny. Treat from the bunny. The uneaten part of a business lunch or a treat specifically bought for children. Parents would tell their children that a bunny asked them to deliver said treat, but it could also be any other animal, a squirrel or a bear, for example. The stray strolled toward me with mincing footsteps, with a pleading look in his eyes. The fox did definitely treat it to something, but it was probably still hungry. Why are you dressed like this so early in the morning? Going to a costume party? The girl shrugged, throwing silvery snowflakes off her nose, and her human form along with them, turning into a genuine beast, a real fox, agile, cunning, dangerous. A moment of hesitation and you'll be ripped to shreds. She'll tear you up and gulp you down without breaking a sweat. I couldn't help but just stand there as a stump, until I heard her calm, melodic laughter, hidden underneath the beastie mask. I wish you could have seen your own mask, sweetie. Did she say sweetie? I got embarrassed, went red up to my hair roots. We'd seen a fox in a zoo once, when we went there with Dad, but it had patchy fur, was grey and skinny. It hurt me. But this girl was of fiery color and furry, just like in fairy tales. I was still rummaging through my backpack. My fingers that were searching for the dog's treat stumbled upon some soft, crumpled object. You'll see. The real beasts will wake up soon. You should ask them where they got their human faces. The girl's shadow was dancing in the lamp's light. The dog yapped in agreement. I freaked out and dropped my finding in the snow without getting a proper chance to examine it. Cold wind instantly covered the hole it created with snow. The dog rushed to dig it out, wanting to get its treat. And the fox just snorted. Now I was so embarrassed I wanted to sink through the snow. It was still dark outside of the electric circle. On the contrary, the darkness seemed even more thick. All neighboring houses were sleeping deeply in its inkiness. I did my best to continue the conversation with the weird girl I didn't know. So, are you going to school? Oh my, you're a real dummy. Don't you get it? Welp, I was trying to be friendly, but she can't stop mocking me, calling me a dummy and all. I could have just moved along without paying any attention to this weirdo and her stupid dog. Why are you so mean? Don't answer if you don't want to. It's not like I care. Still, something froze me in place, tugged me toward the dark figure. A mysterious appearance, her voice that was velvety and just languid enough. I was intrigued and excited. I watched her as people watch fires burn. Oh, stop pouting. Look here. Julka took a liking to you. The dog was digging through snow with sharp movements, snoring loudly. The fox turned around and looked at the windows of a nearby house and its timbered front through the white mist. The tip of her fake nose was shining under the lamp's light. And maybe someone else too. I went red again, like a boiled crayfish this time. Is she talking about herself or someone else? I hoped that semi-dark would be able to hide my embarrassment from the girl. I cleared my throat before asking, "And who is that person?" I waited, counting my heartbeat. The fox didn't reply. Her sly stare was scanning the frosty patterns of someone's windows. She was reading them like a glass book. I wonder what she can see in those winter paintings. The stray stopped rummaging through the snow. It ran to me, holding my object in her jaws. A mitten. Could it be the one I found in the forest? What is it doing here? When I looked closer, I realized that it was just my mitten. Maybe Mom stuffed it in there when I was asleep? A certain missing boy immediately came to mind. Hey, do you know anything about Vova? I imagined the scene, silhouettes dancing in the clearing. The dance on the night when Vova had disappeared. A boy who, when found, can provide a big reward and maybe save my family. I remembered my birthday, when our parents promised to take me and Ola to Disneyland in Paris. But instead of a long-anticipated gift, they gave me a simple brick game console, visibly embarrassed. I was crying my eyes out back then, demanding to take me to the promised amusement park. That was the first time when Mom and Dad had a big fight. My greediness shattered their relationship. If only I could fix everything, gather everybody I love and take them to Disneyland. On the night Vova had disappeared, I think I saw someone looking like you dancing under my window. It couldn't be true, but I felt like her mask became even more sly. The fox was sniffing me out. Oh, that got you worried? For yourself or for someone else? Ola, as soon as I thought about my sister, my chest tightened, and cold sweat streamed down my spine. Well then, listen closely, a boy named Anton. This is a big and scary forest. The fox girl stepped forward menacingly. And I'm not its only tenant. The other beasts already know about you. Beware, we'll come again tonight. I shouldn't have talked to this evil in child form, I thought, panicking. When you and your parents will be fast asleep, we'll sneak really close and dance. Macarena. Ah? Hey, Macarena. Ha ha ha. Look at you. Your mouth is agape, Antosha. He saw me near his window at night. Yeah, right. Are you, by any chance, a dimwit? Nobody would let me go outside that late. Children go missing here, you know. I touched the plastic frame of my glasses, puzzled by her silly joke. She got me scared to death. Hey, why don't you stop fondling your glasses? I was also nearsighted once. Listen to me and maybe you'll become smarter. Remember, what do they call foxes? Cunning? My words seemed to hurt her. Hey, what did you... sorry. Her laughter was akin to the jingle of a pair of silver bells. Just pull in your leg. Of course we are cunning. If you're agile and brave enough to befriend a cunning fox, I'll help look for your Wova. There is a reason why you are doing it, right? I shrugged in reply. Her insight was alarming. I know why children have been swarming our forest recently. Sometimes you can find a lot of interesting stuff there. One day I saw a huge pile of candy once, and I swam in it until my jaws cramped. A pile of candy? I couldn't deduce whether she believed in what she was saying from the tone of her voice. I showed her another smile, a fake one this time. Boo, so very. Well, what will you say to this then? She held out her hand in a furry mitten. There was an assortment of sweets in her palm. In the city where I used to live, sweets like these were sold at markets or in kiosks. Kiosks, small container-type shops selling a wide assortment of products from bubblegum to vodka, clothing, or even some appliances. These types of shops were popular in 90s Russia and more often than not tied to criminal organizations. I saw my favorite bubblegum in a vivid wrapper among the tasty treasure. A familiar name was on it, Turbo. A triangular fox face poked her nose toward me. Take some. My pockets are full of these. I feel like she can get angry if we refuse. Can I take it but not eat? I will take it. Hopefully, he is not going to eat it right away. I accepted the treat and catching a whiff of the girl's smell. Fur, fireworks, and citrus, the smell of holidays. My fingers tingled while I was carefully unwrapping the gum. Oh no. Peachy aroma entered my nostrils, and something else, something unfamiliar but pleasant. The fruity cube ended up in my mouth. I started moving my molars, chewing the gum. It tasted like your usual Turkish gum, only my tongue went a bit numb. I couldn't believe my luck after opening the insert. Bubblegum inserts games. The type of game where players put bubblegum inserts onto their palm and try to flip it by throwing it in the air. The player who happens to flip one or more inserts claims them as their prize. Those inserts were often considered as collectibles. I looked at Mercedes-Benz, an extremely rare and hence desirable collector's item for any boy from my previous neighborhood. My heart skipped a beat. I was barely able to tear my eyes off the insert, still stunned. This is... Now, do you see what can be found in the forest? Still, I wouldn't go there alone if I were you. You get so flustered over simple bubblegum after all. Imagine what would happen if you find a travel case worth of these. It'll surely blow your mind. Unusual treats. Just like everything else about her. I carefully hid the insert in my bag, as if I was putting a rare butterfly in a can. The fox giggled. This is not how things are supposed to go on a Monday morning. Who are you? I refrained from asking that question. She wouldn't answer anyway, or she'll just lie. I really wanted to see what's behind her mask. I was becoming more and more sure that underneath it wasn't just a simple young girl. What if Wawa also found a snow pile with sweets and is now rolling in it? Actually, what if he decided to stay in the forest? He must be so cold without his second mitten then. The wind caught her words like smoke from a fire and carried them deep into the darkness, into the creepy thicket. The trees behind me creaked with their bony branches. Or what if something happened to him along the way? Something terrible. The forest reacted to her words, became alive. It sniffed me out, perking up its ears, just like a curious beast. The fox girl pierced me with her eyes again. Wild beasts? You find that scary? Well, I don't know. He doesn't know. Oh my, have I befriended the Dunes? I didn't like being called the Dunes. Dunes? I didn't like being called the Duns. Yet being friends with her sounded nice. My grades are good. Really now? Will you come with me, good grades, Anton? We'll find your Vova and you'll be able to ask him what he found deep in the forest. As long as you are with me, nothing can hurt you in the forest. You'll see. Worms of worry writhed in my belly. Better run, whispered my mind. I don't believe you. Do you take me for a liar? Whatever, you are just like everybody else. The girl sounded hurt, although I didn't know if she was genuine about it. She turned around, as if she had immediately lost all interest in me. The gum felt bitter now. I remembered my dad's favorite saying, "Where are your manners, son?" Indeed, this fox was kind to me. Please, don't get mad. Foxes can also be nice. Like in fairy tales. I just need to know what kind of fox you are. The girl giggled, hiding the nose of her mask in her hands. Then follow me into the forest, and you'll get to know me. But not right now, when it gets bright. I mean, your whole body is shaking, you poor thing. I don't want you to get a stroke. Hey, let me accompany you to school. After hearing this, the dog barked in agreement and stopped messing with the mitten. I leaned in, trying to grab the piece of handwear that almost ran away from me. Well, if we are going in the same direction. We went toward the school and the lost dawn. Here and there, the lights came on in the windows of houses we passed, as if their inhabitants were sending us warning signs. Silhouettes lurked behind curtains, dogs let out occasional barks. Spirals of grey smoke rose from chimneys, TVs bustled and dishes clanged in kitchens. We watched the village slowly rise from its slumber, while carefully treading the snowy wheel trails. I walked in the left one and she took the right one. The dog was following right behind us. I expected the fox to bring up something weird again, but she stayed silent all the way to the school, as if playing with me some game, only she was privy too. She would only giggle from time to time, when the dog sneezed from the snowflakes that fell on its nose. I was the first to break the silence. So, what's your name? Here it comes. Names, names, names. You people always need to put labels on everything. What name would you give to a fox like me? I don't know. But I've read about Alisa the fox. You know what? I don't mind. I'll be Alisa. I couldn't understand if she was joking or not. I turned around, as if looking for an answer, from the dog, from the dark sky devoid of dawn. My silent questions were left unanswered. The school's outline was already in our sight. A giant brick box stuck in the endless night. Lights in its windows didn't bode well for me. The warden trees were guarding the schoolyard. Screams, childish laughter, and someone's whistling tore up the silence. I went here with Mom when we just moved, and the place looked cozy at that time. Empty corridors that smelled of polish, puffy snow outside. The second time I came alone to get the books and just kept on imagining my peers rolling down the railings, grade schoolers running to the library, and teachers marching down the corridor with the air of self-importance around them. High schoolers were smoking at the entrance, in track pants and wool caps, perched on their foreheads. Their appearance destroyed the last of hopes for a cozy school. Their stingy eyes and the teeth, yellow from nicotine, their smirks, all of it had the same gloomy effect as the cloudy winter morning. Absorbed by my thoughts, I completely forgot about my companion. I'll wait for you at the backyard after school. Near the hanged man. Near what? She just ignored my question. Don't be late. I hesitated. Blowing hot and cold again. Mom always said that when I would have trouble choosing between two options. Thinking about Mom helped me reply. I'm going straight home after school. Well, Antosha, I'm going to let you off the hook. But the others will creep up to you with their smiles and sink their teeth into you. Won't be able to shake them off as easily. Remember my words. The fox opened her mouth in a wide yawn. What kind of trick is this? Someone running in the distance called out my name. I instinctively turned around. A huge snowball whizzed past my shoulder and hit the dog. No. It whimpered and ran toward the spring. The darkness devoured it. The fox girl was also nowhere to be seen. She dissolved into frosty air. Or was she hiding in my shadow? I gulped and swallowed the gum. Unlucky. After taking a deep breath, I went toward the school, toward the cutlets in dough, toward the light raining down onto the snow. Whose nest is this, I wonder? A thieving magpie? Then it probably has all sorts of shiny things in it. Pieces of colorful glass, bottle caps, polished coins, or child braces. A tall man was standing near the gate, puffing out clouds of smoke into the wind. He didn't look like a teacher. Was he a PE guy, maybe? I carefully studied his face that looked like it was cut from a piece of granite, and his hare lip that was holding down a cigarette. He was playing around with car keys and staring back at us. The light from the cigarette was reflected in his eyes that were sitting deep in his eye sockets. I froze in place. The hulking man lazily tore off his eyes from us and walked toward the road. There was a fresh-looking Volga parked nearby, with one of its front wheels perched up on the icy curb. Black like soot, as if it was straight out of the horror story Dad loved to tell me when we hid in the attic during a thunderstorm. I remember him always wearing a sad smile while mentioning the black car that snatched children. He would say, "It looks like a funeral car on the inside, white curtains and all. And it has DSC in its license plate. Do you know what that means? Death to Soviet children." Funny, I was born in the USSR too. I could hear muffled voices behind the doors, saw blinking lamps. Darkness crept along the windows, and it felt like the school was drifting in open space like a lonely lost spaceship. After going up to the second floor, I noticed a crowd around the notice board. Everyone was taking part in a lively discussion. I moved closer and took a look at something everyone was interested in through a wall of backpacks. There was a piece of paper with something printed on it, glued to the left of the notice board. Attention, child missing. Vova Matyukin, 10 years old. Vova Matyukin, 10 years old, grade 4B. He left his home on January the 5th, around 16, and never returned. Was last seen at the bridge over the Smorodina River. He was wearing an orange coat with a hood, a black wool cap, a scarf, and mittens with green stripes. Might have had a plastic toy gun on him. Features: 142 centimeters tall, skinny, brown hair and green eyes. Brown hair? Didn't they say in the first episode that he was ginger? Please call these numbers if you have any information on Vova's whereabouts. Child missing. Vova Matyukin, that was his name. A 4th grader. On that grainy print, Vova looked dead, with a black mouth and dark, empty eye sockets. Could it be that the darkness dwelling deep in the forest invaded his pores and mutilated his face? A plastic toy gun couldn't protect him from the whispering branches and the howling wind. Empty eyes of the lost boy pierced through my soul as if pleading. Unable to meet his stare, I turned around and rushed to the window, took a seat on the windowsill. The corridor was slowly filling up with children, in groups of few. Nobody paid me any mind. In the darkness of school toilets, child voices were humming a nursery rhyme. For the fox and for the bear, bunny tasty meals prepare. I turned my head toward them, trying to get a better look at their features, but then my attention was stolen by a loud clicking sound. A female teacher marched down the corridor, with her chin raised up high. Her heels were hitting the floor like miniature hooves. A girl was trailing her every step. She was also looking pompous, stopping along the way and whispering some secret in her friend's ear. She was probably a class rep, since she was carrying an attendance register book. Yekaterina, take this, please. The teacher opened the classroom door and the crowd of children swarmed in, screaming and pushing. Out of all of them, a tall, red-haired fat boy caught my attention. His face was full of blisters. He looked like the insides of a pomegranate. A bad feeling risen up the hair on the back of my head. I've seen boys like him before. Unsettled eyes, cackling laughter. The girl, who was a smaller copy of the teacher, warned the boy with a wave of her hand and entered the room through the clearing in the crowd. Some other guy stood in the way of the crowd, and the redhead immediately showed him. "Move your legs, moron." The boy flew head first, flailing his hands, trying to keep his balance. The fatso burst out laughing, and a couple of kids joined his nasty cackling. Their laughter sounded like someone was snipping with huge garden scissors. The classroom sucked all of the kids in. The corridor stood empty. I wanted to grow roots and stay on the windowsill. Just a handful of lampposts outside were battling the darkness, writhing like fluorescent fish in the black ocean. Maybe I can still run away? Go outside, dissolve in the dark? I imagined myself running through snow, how it squeaks under my boots, and how I'm becoming lighter and lighter with every step. The ringer's trill blew that illusion away. I tore myself from the window with great effort, then took a couple of deep breaths, trying to at least calm down my mad pulse, and entered the classroom. The prim teacher looked at me over the frame of her glasses, clearly annoyed. "I'm the transfer student. I was told to come here." The snowy forest trail was winding in front of my eyes. The pines rustled, but it didn't sound predatory anymore. She buried herself in the register and flicked through the pages. "Your last name?" Petrov. "Huh? What are you mumbling there?" "Say it clearly." "Petrov." You're not on the list." She measured me with a long and heavy stare, as if trying to see if I was lying. I wanted to sink through the floor. Hazy faces observed all of that from the left. The classroom breathed and snorted in unison, like a living organism, like a dangerous beast. "Are you sure?" "I don't have you in my register." My knees chose the worst time to start shaking, and I felt dizzy. I clutched my fists so hard my knuckles became white. They told me to come to the classroom 204 to ask for Lilia Pavlovna, class 6C. Apparently everyone in the classroom took my words for some sort of joke because they were all laughing. What's wrong with this school? The classroom fell silent. The kids hid their smirks for a better occasion. Why do we hire so many interns? They all know how to put lipstick all over their bulging lips, but when it comes to real problems, I have to solve everything. How did they send you here without any proper paperwork? We've had this same thing happen so many times already. Wait here, I'll be back. After I have a little chat with them. The teacher flew past me, mumbling something to herself in righteous anger, and I was left standing at the center of the classroom, like a convict in front of a firing squad. I lowered my gaze, feeling the mocking stares from all around the classroom directed at me. They prickled my skin, danced on it like laser sights. Once again, I imagined running far away from this place, fighting the clawing wind, soaring high above the pines in one long jump, with the wind in my back as my only companion. The eyes of my future classmates were asking, "This new boy, is he one of us or an outsider?" Somebody whispered something and stifled laughter rolled through the classroom. "Wipe the board." It was easy to guess who was the main prankster here. "Hey, Four Eyes, are you not only blind but also deaf?" I said, "Wipe the board." My knees weren't the only shaking part of my body anymore. I was trembling from head to toe, and I prayed for the teacher to come back sooner. My prayers were answered by the powers that be. "And what should I do with you now? Where will you sit?" "Oh well, you can sit with Simeon, I guess. He is alone anyway." "No way." The fatso put his backpack on the seat beside him in defiance, scratched his belly and smirked. "Are you back to your old tricks? Should I call your grandma here again?" The classroom went silent. "And what she's gonna do?" "I'll be the one to do something if she doesn't. Put away your backpack now." Simeon didn't move a muscle. He started studying the portraits of writers on the wall, looking bored. I needed to do something to resolve this somehow, to save myself. I cleared my throat and continued in a stifled voice that sounded nothing like me. "I can sit in the last row. I think there is a free seat." The teacher snorted loudly. She looked at me, then at Simeon, then back at me. "Fine, go there for now. And you, Baburin, I'll have a talk with you later. Come to me after classes. You'll be on cleaning duty, got it?" Simeon forced out a twisted smile. Juicy pimples were growing on the tip of his nose, ripe for the taking. I walked carefully, afraid to stumble and fall, causing another outburst of laughter from everyone. I took my seat at the back, at the last table, where I was met with a pile of old posters. The outcasts took their seats and the class was ready to start. "Now this is settled, let's start the class. Today's theme is Traditions of Russian and International Literature in Zoshenko's Don't Lie." The fatso turned back to me. His stare informed me of the coming days, weeks and months of bullying. "I've got my eyes on you," said his watery look. After just a couple of periods, I had already noticed a huge yellow spit stain in my notebook. Then, at the cafeteria, this Simeon accidentally spilled a glass of compote on me. Compote, a dessert drink brewed from a mix of dry fruit and berries. And then he flailed his hands around after exiting the toilet so some of the liquid from his hands would get on me. Just before the final period for today, Simeon pushed me into a buzzing crowd of girls from our class. So all of this happened in only one day? Poor main character. They made way, cursing, but I couldn't hold my balance and ended up ramming my face into the girl I took for the class rep before, right in her chest. Ow! I immediately stepped back, dying from embarrassment. I'm sorry, are you alright? Then she suddenly put her hands on her hips. Will you look at him? Groping me in front of everyone. I'll tell my mom. They'll expel you, pervert. There was some sort of sadistic pleasure in her eyes, as if she was a child who was about to put a lit-up match to the Cheffer beetle. I didn't mean to. He pushed me. We all saw that, you know, no blind among us. She stared at my glasses while showing me a creepy smile. I started to fume on the inside, but Simeon's laughter cooled my head. I pushed you, you sure? He swaggered up to me, enveloping me in the smell of sunflower seeds and rotting teeth, and then pushed me to the ground. Like this, huh? What you gonna do now? The bully towered over me, as if saying, Come on, hit me. Let me see you try. I feel like if we endure, he will just keep bullying. So in that case, maybe if we fight back once, he will leave us alone? Listen, you. My throat went dry, my lips were moving on their own, and my voice was akin to a stifled squeal. Simeon wore a mocking smile. Go on, Four Eyes. Why did you stop? We are all waiting. If you ever touch me again. Simeon slowly stuck out a finger and poked my forehead. I did, so what? If you ever do it again. Here. Once more. And again. And again. And again. He was poking me with his fingers so hard that my head tilted backward. I must not cry, or I'll be done for. What will a wimp like you do to me? My vision went blurry. My soul tore off from the floor. I rushed forward and threw a random punch without looking. Oh no. What I saw when I opened my eyes was beautiful and horrifying at the same time. Simeon was holding his ear and blinking in amazement. Was I the first person to rebel against his absolute rule? I needed to run, but I was already surrounded by his cronies. Lilia Pavlovna. Lilia Pavlovna, Petrov just hit Baburin. Simeon's cheeks grew even redder, and his pimples even whiter, like the heads of larvae. Ew. But a smile flashed on his face that was only noticed among his comrades. He got really close to me. The smell of rotten teeth washed over me. You are fucking done. His voice was evil and dangerous, like someone tore off the lid from a kettle with boiling fat. I was waiting to get hit, counting the thumps of my heart and guessing where his fist will go. The solar plexus, the jaw, the nose. But he just turned around and walked off. A thought, cold and sober and extremely rational, popped up in my head. I'm going to get killed today. I was late to leave the school after classes on purpose. Simeon didn't attend the last period, so I was hopeful. What if he decided to dodge the cleaning duty and ran home, forgetting all about me? I heaved a sigh of relief, like someone on death row whose execution was delayed by a day. But I didn't let myself forget his tone, his vengeful gaze, and his scary, electrified smirk. While the other students were leaving the school, laughing loudly, I was pretending to skim through my books near a window. I was staring outside, nervous. Simeon was nowhere to be found in the front yard or near the school gate. I didn't really believe I was this lucky, so I decided to be extra cautious and stayed for some more time in the corridor that was gradually getting less crowded. All of the bustle moved to the first floor. There was a skeleton peeking out of the biology classroom. Some jokester put a cap with the American condor on its head. The sound of running water were coming from the bathroom. I was the only person left in the whole school. I'm not alone. A sudden thought came to mind. I remembered the missing boy. His portrait was on the notice board near the schedule. I remembered his smile. Him looking at me. And the fact that he's mostly likely already dead. Hello? I shuddered and turned around. At first my eyes stumbled upon the black violin case. Then I noticed a girl from my class was holding it. She sat in the first row of the second column. I could swear I caught her looking at me a couple of times. And I was sneaking glances at her myself. Sometimes it just feels nice to look at something pretty, the spring, the sky, or a girl that's not in the crowd that laughs at Simeon's jokes. And she wasn't whispering the dirty laundry of other people to Katya. She spent all the breaks just like me, staying in the classroom or looking in the window or drawing something in her green notebook. Hello. I turned red and pretended I was studying the pattern on the wooden floor. It was cool the way you hit him. It was just an accident, almost. I started shoving books in my backpack to at least put something in my hands. Simeon wasn't like that before. He also transferred here just recently. His grandma told me that it almost felt like he went mad. Even the upperclassmen fear Simeon. Did you know? But you're different. You're brave. I mumbled in reply. Yeah, right. Me, brave? A hero that has been standing around in the hallway to avoid a beating. The girl looked at me with her clear, attentive eyes. Do you live over the river? In that wooden house? Yeah. Must be scary living there. And you also have to cross the forest? I wouldn't be able to do that. I shivered at the mention of the forest. I thought of intertwining branches, of a snake-like trail, of endless darkness that spread like mold among the crooked trees. So I straight up lied. It's not that scary. What's so scary about it for you? She smiled after a brief pause, as if brushing off a daydream. Well, actually, never mind. My name is Polina, by the way. And I'm Anton. I already know that. Hey, Anton. She stumbled as if trying to decide whether she should continue. What are you doing after school? My chest felt prickly after her innocent question, yet somehow it felt pleasant. Nothing much. I stumbled and didn't finish my sentence. Alisa's predatory smile flashed in front of my eyes. Her playful eyes in the slits of the mask were probably just a product of my imagination, though. What if that fox girl is waiting for me after the school? Or was it another of her weird jokes? I wonder if she's hiding a big red tail under her coat. I suddenly got covered with beads of sweat, like after a PE class. I wanted to take a shower, as if just thinking of the foxy girl made me dirty, soiled my clothes, lured me into the forest's embrace. I have a violin lesson and then I'll be free. My grandpa hired me a private tutor. Our music teacher is a violinist, and he doesn't have anyone to teach here except for me. She waved her free hand in the air, imitating the movement of a bow on violin strings. I could almost hear the music. It chased Alisa out of my head. I looked at Polina's lips, catching her every word, and was frozen from the unusual sensations. They were warm, soothing, and tingly. It felt like I was very small and the feelings were immense and they couldn't fit inside me. They say there's a serial killer on the loose in the village. Normally, Grandpa would escort me home from school, but he's been sick lately. I snuck a glance at Vova's photo. His eyewells were studying me, his lips were wearing black lipstick, just like the portrait on a gravestone. I mean, I'm not a coward, it's just... I think I'll be safer together with you. Will you go home with me, Anton? There it was. Finally, everything that I read about in the adventure books, everything that I dreamt about was seeping into my life. A mysterious crime, a beautiful stranger, and a heroic duel. A duel. Thinking of Semyon instantly sobered me up, returned me back to earth, and it started shaking under my feet like a deck of a ship. If only I could rise to the occasion in front of Polina. Because no matter how brave I was trying to act, it was obvious for both of us that I wouldn't be able to stand a chance against a big guy like that. And him knocking me out won't even be the worst of it. The worst part is that Polina will see all of that. And she'll laugh at me like everybody else. No, I don't need anybody to see me in such a shameful state. I doubt I'll be able to today. You know, Semyon is waiting for me outside. I need to deal with him one-on-one, like a man. Nonsense. Polina brushed off some hair off her forehead, and I sensed the weak aroma of blackberry. Polina was like water when you were thirsty. You gulp it down and still wanted more. I remembered the summer evenings at the country house, the fire's pungent smoke, the berries hanging over our fence from the neighbors, and the soft cover of pine needles under my soles. Those few peaceful days when I felt completely safe. My mom resting in the hammock, my dad putting meat on a skewer. Could have I foreseen the upcoming catastrophe in the crackle of the coals, in our parents' laughs, in the smell of the fleeting July? Could I have seen how fragile that world was? Do you really think that Savage will give you a fair fight? He'll just swarm you with his friends without giving you a chance to catch a breath. Polina suddenly flashed a devious smile. But if we go together, they will be put off. I'm not only the first violin of this village, I am also a girl. I've heard from a delinquent. I know that he'll never attack someone when there is a girl around. Can you imagine? They have this weird code of honor. A delinquent, you know, I thought, worried. Is he better than me? Taller, more handsome? Oh, I have to go to music class. She made a couple of steps and stopped. Amazing, Polina didn't look like those beauties from the magazine posters or the actresses from the movies. But in the flickering light of the ceiling lamps, she looked much more alluring. Can you play anything? My parents bought me a guitar a couple of years ago. I immediately remembered my meager attempts at making music. A.M., E.M., change. We are all waiting for change. Tsoi's song echoed my thoughts and my desire to change something. Viktor Tsoi, a singer and a frontman of a popular Soviet rock band Kino that played a mix of new wave and post-punk. Their hit song Peremen, Changes, is one of the most popular rock tracks of the new Russian era, died in a car accident. That guitar got lost somewhere, as if refusing to move to the old house near the forest. I think my parents gave it away to someone that needed it more. I don't, sadly. A pity. Oh well, I'll be going. Bye. Her shout was captured by the loud echo. Her shoes also echoed through the school hallways. Bye. I wasn't sure if Polina heard me. I looked out the window again. The schoolyard was empty, just a couple of grade schoolers throwing snowballs at each other. Nobody who looked like the hulking Semyon with his cronies. This was giving me hope. What should I do? Polina could become my friend, the first one in this new place. And besides, she may be in real danger of meeting a killer, and I'll be her defender, her knight. And even though my inner voice was hesitant and whispered about running away from the killers lurking in the woods at night, Polina was worth the risk. But the red cunning fox was also intriguing. She promised me to help look for Vova, and this will bring me a reward. More money will almost guarantee peace in my family. Gifts for Oля. I imagined my sister, happy like those girls who get prizes from Supanev in the finest hour. Sergei Supanev, a Soviet and Russian TV host, the most prolific showman of the Russian kids TV in the 90s. He hosted teen quizzes as well as computer entertainment shows. Supanev died on December 8, 2001, when he crashed his snowmobile into a river pier. She'll be dancing with the famous singers, maybe a new popular boys band like Ivanushki International. Ivanushki International, a Russian boy band that was popular in the 90s and early 2000s and consisted of 3 singers. Its songwriter and vocalist Igor Sorin died to a fall from the 6th-story balcony. The official police report claimed it to be a suicide. Oleg Yakovlev substituted him in the band and later died from cirrhosis. Mom and Dad hugging in the Ostankino pavilion. And then all of us going to Disneyland. I need to choose? Or what? Turn me around and I'll tell you who's stupid. I bet something offensive is written on the other side. I wonder how long would Semyon keep turning it around if it fell into his hands. An abandoned zinc bucket with a rag on the bottom of it, filled to the brim with murky tap water. It reeked of salty chemicals, and the stench was so intense that I felt sick. I staggered away from it, praying that I don't meet the same fate as the person on cleaning duty. Somebody left their school shoes on the windowsill. Judging from their size, they belonged to a boy my age. That's all. I was delaying the decision as much as I could. But I want to be on the sane side. I don't know what's up with these creatures, but I'm going to choose Polina. Snow danced in the air outside the window, following the rhythm of the music that was flowing from around the corner. I jumped off the windowsill and started walking along the hallway, curiosity eating away at me. The half an hour I'd spent here waiting crawled at snail's pace. I wanted to see Polina again. The music became louder. It streamed out of the half-open door at the far end of the corridor. My music taste was limited to Letov, Shevchuk, the timeless classics, and pop songs I saw on TV. Yegor Letov, a singer and the frontman of the band Grazhdanskaya Oborona, Civil Defense, that played a mix of garage punk and psychedelic rock. Letov is posthumously considered the godfather and the patriarch of Russian punk rock and of the most influential members of the punk movement in Russia. Died peacefully in his sleep. Along with music videos that would sometimes be put on tapes as teasers before a movie. But this violin melody captivated me. It felt like a master woodcutter working with delicate wood. A fragile crystal toy, a gust of warm wind. I pressed my cheek against the doorway. Paulina was hiding from me in the far end of the classroom, but a shadow that fell on the wall definitely belonged to a girl with a violin. The movements of her bow were so graceful that I felt like I was getting carried away on the waves of music. My heart broke the barrier of my ribcage and started hopping around. Faster and faster, it jumped on snow piles, gliding between the pines toward the fiery sun above the windfall. Got tired of waiting? I was so deep in thought that I didn't hear the approaching footsteps. After bathing in music, Paulina felt even more magical. Oh, no, not really. I was just thinking about my comic. For some unknown reason, I lied. You draw comics? Yeah, well, I mean, I want to draw one. Oh. And what will it be about? About the most charming and kind girl that plays a violin, who somehow happened to be in this house of horror. About a fox. Oh, I mean about talking animals who help children who get lost to return home from the woods. And then they dance in the night. Wow. Sounds interesting. Did you come up with it yourself? I lowered my gaze. I got inspiration from looking out the window. We descended to the first floor. I opened the door in front of Paulina. That told me how essential it is to be a gentleman. So you're an artist, huh? I had a hunch you were different. Special. Are you joking, me? I'm absolutely average. Simeon is the average one. An average idiot. And you carry something kind and fluffy inside. Something barked near my leg when we were crossing the schoolyard, interrupting Paulina. Eek! Don't worry, it's just Julka. I stood on one knee and rubbed the barking dog behind the ear. It was frantically wagging its tail, like it was some sort of propeller. I looked around the yard, trying to find Alisa. But the fox girl was nowhere to be found, neither in the yard nor on the road. Leave it be. It's a stray, you know. What if it has pests? No, this one has an owner, I think. Paulina looked at the playful dog with disgust, covering her mouth with handkerchief. Do you have any food on you? I think I have something left. We'll find it and go, all right? She took out a sandwich out her bag, threw it to Julka. The full sandwich? The little dog rushed to her banquette, swept away the bread with her nose and started eating the bologna. What a picky eater. Come on, eat everything. Paulina tugged my sleeve, egging me on. Hey, what's wrong? She replied with laughter. The violin girl had literally dragged me out of the school gate, stifling laughs into a fist. I turned around. Julka followed us with sad eyes as we were leaving. The dog looked especially lonely, with the school as the backdrop. And then Paulina just stopped laughing. She walked alongside me with a blank stare, completely silent. Don't spread pests. Her remark turned out pretty harsh. Was it really the strays' fault she had to live in the street? They always attack people later. A pack of these almost killed my grandpa last winter. That's horrible. Is he still not feeling well? He's paralyzed now. He will never be able to walk again. I guess he got tetanus? I remember the scary pack of dogs that was chasing me just a while ago. I'm sorry. It's okay. Polina showed me another enchanting smile, her eyes half closed. What matters is that we understand each other now. I forgot all about Julka after she said that. Some third graders were throwing snowballs at each other and singing. 1, 2, time to play with you. The owl? Oля. An image of my sister sitting near the window, bored looking for me in the twilight, flashed before my eyes. I promised myself that I will go home as soon as I escort Polina. What's this song the kids are singing? It's the second time I hear it today. We were walking down the main street. Somewhere near, a tractor was grumbling, clearing snow drifts. Ravens flew across the ashen sky. A flock of black birds circled above us, like scary crosses that ran away from graves. The owl one. It's just a local nursery rhyme. Grandpa used to sing it to me when I was little. He's very knowledgeable about local history and folklore. And what does that rhyme sound like? Listen. She started walking backwards, facing me and smiling. 1, 2, time to play with you. 3, 4, 5, the owl will arrive. 6, on end, the wolf's grey fur will stand. 7, 8, stomp your hoofs in wait. For the fox and for the bear, bunny, tasty meals prepare. I thought that I'd already met a fox this morning. Thankfully, I hadn't met any wolves or bears. As I was looking at the girl by my side, I became strangely brave, so I said something unexpected. You have a beautiful voice. Polina adjusted her hair, slightly embarrassed. Thanks. And is that the end of the rhyme? Did the bunny prepare those meals? Who knows? Nobody will be able to tell you now. It's really old. I'd even say ancient. There is a legend related to it, though. Want me to tell you? Of course. All sorts of tribes had lived in the taiga back in the day. Grandpa told me they had this some sort of right when a boy was ready to become a man. I listened closely. I mean, I was also really close to that age myself. They would lead him into the woods where he needed to spend 3 days hunting. There's a legend about a young man who went into the taiga and never returned. And then suddenly came back when they already stopped looking for him. He was covered in scratches, dirty, cold. I imagine sleeping among the pines and bare layers. His family rushed to help him, but he just fell unconscious. They brought a shaman. He looked at the young man and his face became grim. He told them that he was in bad shape. The young man convulsed until the morning, repeating that rhyme over and over. Over and over. 1, 2, time to play with you, as if Taiga itself was whispering it to him. And when the sun came out, he died. But the shaman said that he was already dead when he returned. He came out of the woods as a living corpse and whispered that rhyme with his dead lips. I froze in fear. Are you sure it's not some horror movie? Folklore can be way scarier than movies, believe me. Grandpa said that this tribe just uprooted in a hurry and left to the south. They must have been brave, if they lived here. Polina kicked one of the snow piles with her small boot. Brave, but stupid. Did they need a corpse to appear from the forest for them to understand? Understand what? That they needed to get out of here. There is the big world, and then there is our village. The world? She spread her arms wide. The village. She showed a distance that was almost invisible with her 2 fingers. I often imagine big cities. I can look at the globe for hours, or at Around the World magazines from the library. They have such pretty names. Just listen. Reykjavik, Tel Aviv. Music to my ears. She started circling, her eyes shut dreamingly. The forest towered before us, touching the low clouds. The road fell into the semi-dark between the trees. I could have conquered the stage, performing in front of thousands, and I have stage fright. Oh, you'll get famous another way, by drawing. We both have a future, but what about, say, Semyon? He may just get fatter. And he'll be selling pirashki. Yeah, made from dogs. We burst out laughing, exercising worry from our minds with light-hearted fun. If somebody will even trust him with selling them. Oh, you're right. He can probably eat a whole lot of them in one go. Like I thought, the forest is less scarier when you are not alone. I looked around. The snow was sparkling, reflecting the last rays of the setting sun. My pulse fastened from the thought that we were alone. Yes, you were right. Polina rushed through the fire break. Don't fall behind. I never fall behind. You know, the way you speak. Just like a hero from adventure books. Was she complimenting or mocking me? I didn't want to look for the hidden meaning, not when we are on such a wonderful walk. I mean, I like books. Oh, a well-read man? Intriguing. A man, really? I got embarrassed and my cheeks turned beet red, but I still thanked fate for being able to wander around the forest with Polina like this. The girl suddenly stopped and stared into the darkening thicket without making a sound, as if waiting for something. I felt uneasy all of a sudden. And then she asked me in a cold voice, "Have you been there?" "Where? Deep in the woods?" Polina burst out laughing again, shattering my anxious thoughts. "No, silly. In the big world. In cities with musical names. Does Moscow sound musical to you?" "To me it sounds like the croaking of a frog." Polina froze and looked at me in disbelief. "You've been to Moscow?" "Yeah. When I was little." Polina's eyes started sparkling. "What's it like?" "Well, it's beautiful, noisy, neon lights everywhere." "Neon lights?" It felt like she was savoring those words. "Have you been to the Red Square?" "Of course. It's so bumpy." "I've been to TSUM and VDNKH too." Central Universal Department Store, one of the biggest department stores in Europe, situated in downtown Moscow. It was founded in 1885 as Muir and Mirillis Co. After the Soviet Revolution, the store was nationalized and given its contemporary name in 1933. Exhibition of Achievements of National Economy, the second biggest exhibition complex in Moscow. It's present in the top 50 biggest European exhibition centers list. 49 architectural pieces on the complex's territory are considered cultural heritage monuments. I loved the metro the most. It smelled like... Like what? She ran up to me, grabbed me by the sleeve, and stared in my eyes with clear interest. "I can't describe it." "And can you draw it?" "What, a smell?" "Great musicians can play smells." "You are lying." "I'll give you the cassettes later." She started twirling in the falling snow again. "I'll definitely go to Moscow. But first to Vienna. It's my dream. The capital of music. Mozart, Beethoven, Strauss. Philharmonic Orchestra. National Opera. I'll be performing and you drawing." Her enthusiasm spread to me. I wanted to do something right this moment. "And where do you want to go?" I sighed and confessed. "To Disneyland." I remembered the Finest Hour show again. Ola preferred Call of the Jungle, but I always spent my Mondays in front of the TV. Colorful tables with numbers on signs, and the charming Mr. Supanev at the wheel. And the prizes. Chocolate eggs, video equipment, and the most exciting one, a trip to Disneyland for the winner. My parents promised to take me there, to the land of the mouse, and I believed them at first. Well, maybe they also believed it back then. Now they just reply with silence every time I ask about it, and it saddens me to no end. I have just 3 words on my mind in those moments. "But you promised." Polina had seemingly read my mind. "Getting there is easier than we think. Everybody has the power to mold their fate." She picked up 2 handfuls of snow. And then, as if she forgot about everything, showed me a sly smile. "Want to make a snowman?" "Sure." I feel like he will have to go home when it's really dark, and he will be really scared and something bad will happen. When I get back home, I'll make a snowman for Oля too. She'll be so happy. But for now, we were almost done with the first ball, rolling it shoulder to shoulder. So cute. Polina was laughing. Locks of her hair fell on her lively face. She was so cute when she blew them away. Ha ha ha. Why is your ball so small, Anton? It'll only work as a head. Make it bigger. Don't be lazy. I couldn't remember the last time I had so much fun. Polina swept her now crimson lips. Did you ever wish to go to another planet? Something flashed in her eyes when she said that. I couldn't really put my finger on what it was. To another universe, even. Polina sighed in what felt like relief. Then you should understand me. Our palms glided across the ball of snow, straightening up any bumps it had. An almost ideal white ball rose up in the middle of the clearing. Then another one popped up. We lifted it up from two sides and placed on the one that served as a foundation. Finally, Polina helped the third ball to get on top of the other two. Getting the head to the right place is what I do best. Do you, by any chance, have a carrot? Alas. There was no fear, no worry at this clearing. I became more daring, ran toward the thicket to crack a couple of branches. I pulled at the intertwining windfall, but Polina's voice suddenly awakened me from my delusion. Anton! Someone is standing there. I turned around, puzzled. Polina was looking at me, no, at something behind my back. She stared at it, her brows furrowed. Not a single trace was left of the cheerful atmosphere we had a moment ago. Polina? She slowly raised her hand and pointed at the darkness that was approaching the trees in the distance. Someone is standing there. A crooked silhouette, see? Rubbing the pine with their huge hands. I turned around, directing my eyes where she was pointing to. The area around the dry raspberry bushes was empty. There is nothing there. It hid behind the tree. The collar of my coat felt suffocating. I pulled on it instinctively. I felt a spasm in my stomach. I smiled weakly and asked, hoping for a good answer. Is this a prank? Polina seemingly lost all her words. She just continued staring deep into the endless forest. Bravery check, I thought, so I stepped toward the glossy black trunk, Polina's gaze pushing me in the back. I was trying to muster all my courage, but my inner voice was telling me to stop, to curl into a ball, to play dead even. Anything but go there, into the wreathing darkness. The twilight was sucking me in, limiting my vision. The clearing was a deep well, its walls prohibiting the sunlight from reaching its bottom. I heard the air ring, or was it ringing in my ears? One step. 2 steps. I bit my lip to stop myself from screaming if anything happened. There was nobody behind the pine. I sighed and turned back to Polina. Polina, there is nobody. Yo, Antoshka. From the darkness behind the pines, just like cavemen from their cave, appeared smirking Simeon with a bunch of his cronies. And who do we have here? Check out this four-eyed freak, eh? Polina let out a shriek when the bastards shoved her away from me. I thought she'd just disappeared. The North fake. They surrounded me like a carnivorous pride, making me step back. Simeon's heavy leg blasted through the snowman's belly. The balls we rode crumbled, became a mushy mess with just a single broken branch poking out. Polina gasped angrily. I also felt the touch of scalding hatred. The smell of sweat and tobacco attacked my nostrils. The inside of my mouth felt salty, as if I'd leaked a battery. Polina, don't be scared. I shuddered after hearing my own voice. It sounded unnatural, rough, and scary. Why would she be scared? Haha. Worry about yourself. The fatso spit through the gap in his teeth and pushed me so hard that I hit my back against the tree. Well, pissed your pants, sucker. I heard Polina's angry voice from behind. Stay away from him. It would have been better if Polina wasn't around. I wish she wouldn't see me in such a shameful position. Look at these guys. A girl is defending him. Yeah, what a wimp. Simeon was moving toward me, readying his fist. In that moment, the other delinquent in track pants made a loud whistle, and the hulking boy lowered his hand. It was unexpected. Seems like Baburin wasn't the leader of this gang. In reality, they were all listening to the boy, who was looking like a small carnivore with very strong and sharp teeth. They decided against hitting me. They probably wanted to humiliate me in front of the girl first. Damn it. Hey, faggot junior. And who's that? Another of your girlfriends? He has a harem, eh? Only then I noticed Julka beside my legs, trembling from the cold, snow plastered all over its fur. It probably ran all the way from the schoolyard, searching for our smell. The delinquent squatted in front of the dog and beckoned it with his hand. Oh my. Come here, you fly-ridden bitch. The others let out nasty laughs. The dog's ears perked up and she started carefully moving closer. No, if they will do anything to the dog. I'm not reading this further. Yeah, come here. I've got something for you. The dog didn't even have a chance to sniff him when this animal abuser caught it by the ear and kicked it right under the tail so hard it flew into the nearest snow pile, squealing. The whole gang burst out laughing, and my heart got encrusted in ice. Even the birds that were perched up on tree branches let out frightened caws. Then I noticed something strange. Polina could hardly keep herself from smiling. Does she really hate dogs so much that what this skinny guy did amused her? After locking eyes with me, she changed her jubilant smirk to a thoughtful grimace. Why isn't she running away? I thought in horror. At the edge of my vision, I saw something flash in the illusory twilight of the sleeping forest. Or were that just bushes moving their icy branches in the wind? Romka, it won't be able to shit after this. Let me kick the thing one more time. 2 negatives will make a positive. But the stray was already nowhere to be seen. Thank God. What? Are you an idiot? Go and show the 4 eyes his place. In a way, he'll understand. Yeah, he owes you. This wimp whacked ya in front of the whole class. Sure thing. Simeon brought a sizable signet ring with some geometric shape carved in it up to my face. In a moment, I'll hit your faggot face so hard, it'll leave a mark for the rest of your life. Where did all my inner strength and bravery go? Stop! A wheezy whisper left my lips and my head tilted forward, hitting Simeon's fist. Red sparks flew from my eyes. They're going to gang up on me and beat me up. Roma! Tell them to stop! Sorry, but the boys need to sort this out, man to man. And you just stand aside and watch. Biasha, give me a hand. Simeon gave me a rough push toward the bastard with the slanting eyes and he tripped me. I fell on the sharp crust of ice and the fat saw stepped on my hand, preventing me from getting up. A painful groan escaped my throat. Did you hear him whimper? Is he actually a faggot or something? I started to lose breath from anger and resentment. The pain was growing. My ear was hot and pulsating pain was shooting through it, like it was cut off and the ball of nettle was sewn in its place. Why so silent, Antoshka? Come on, let us. Are you a faggot? At this moment I felt pure, unbridled rage, the amalgamation of my anger. Like the sprout's ink, it rose up from the depths of my mind, filling all my thoughts. Morons! Did you know that my dad is also a fag? Simeon burst out laughing. This became the last straw. Fear and anger were grappling inside me like mad dogs. He knows Aikido, got it? And he's a vet. He'll kill the likes of you with his eyes closed. One word from me and he'll... Romka lifted up his arm, stopping my torrent of lies, and made a couple of steps forward. Simeon slowly backed off, giving me an opportunity to stand up. Pines were swaying back and forth, like solemn guardians. Did he believe me? Or was he confused by my face, twisted with rage? A vet, you say? My dad also fought in the war. In Afghan. And yours? Mine too. Oh, really? And what force did he serve in? I stumbled. Fear chomped at my rage's throat and made it bleed. He is full of shit. He is full of shit, Romka. It's too many swear words. Sure as heck, eh? Did you think I'm so easy to trick? I can see through all your lies, little bitch. There was a nasty smile on his face now. This didn't bode well for me. Well, you've asked for this. A teacher saved you at school, but here... Haha. You are screwed. That's right. Pray that they find your dead body come spring, eh? If only you stayed silent, wouldn't have lost a hair. Oh, I thought I made the right choice. Hitting fatso is one thing, but messing around with stuff like Afghan, where my dad spent time under fire on international duty, is freaking dasht embargo. Dasht embargo, a desert region in the southern provinces of Helmand and Nimruz in Afghanistan. Its name can be translated into English as Plain of Death. During the conflict in Afghanistan, the Soviet army destroyed countless drug caravans headed to Iran there. Give him a good pounding, Soma. Pelicans closed in on me again and I ended up in front of Simeon. Blood was pumping in my temples. Roma, please stop them. You proved your point. Let us go. You can go anytime. And we'll take out the trash in the meantime. What bugged me at that moment wasn't even the humiliating attitude from Romka, but rather how sweet Polina had addressed him. The Delicans were pushing the girl toward the pines. Branches were swaying back and forth, as if whispering something, giving me hope. I gritted my teeth, fighting the thought that I looked silly, and took a boxing stance I often saw in the movies. What are ya, freaking Mike Tyson? This was my first ever fight. I'll remember it for the rest of my life. If I don't kick the bucket, of course. At the edge of my vision, I noticed the darkness wreath again, as if someone was walking back and forth there. I sensed Roma's claws grab my backpack. Give me your shit, Antoshka. It'll get in the way. I was about to refuse, unwilling to cooperate with the bastard, but then he fished a butterfly knife out of his pocket with one smooth motion, spun it as if showing off, and put the blade to my neck. Hey, easy buddy, I can make it painful. I let out a cloud of steam instead of words. Romka pulled with all his might, and my backpack ended up in his hands. Polina shrieked. Romka winked at her, as if saying, "Don't worry, I've got this." Calm and relaxed. An insidious smile on his face, he looked into my backpack. Are you hiding something from us? Some rat stole my school shoes. Let me see if it was... And what's this? Romka gave me a dubious smile. So what do we have here? My text and notebooks fell in snow. He was holding my backpack in one hand and something weird in the other. It looked like... a mask? Roma lifted it high, as if showing to someone else, to someone in the treetops, in the twilight among the trees. An old bunny mask. long, worn-out ears, barely visible nose and whiskers, mangy fur on the sides. Where did it come from? Who put it in there? Semyon laughed. It's way past New Year's, moron. Or are you really a loony? It's not mine. How come it's not? It was in your backpack. Romka was watching this scene unfold with an evil smile on his face. Savages, is this the first time you see a mask? As shitty as this? Yeah. You know what? Put it on. Why? 'Cause I'm telling you to. You'll hop like a bunny for us. Yeah, come on. Or we'll leave ya pantless, eh? Not when Polina is here. I won't. Sema, put it on him. Biasha rushed to his friend's side and took the worn-out mask from him with a buffoonish bow. Then he passed it to Semyon, who was already rubbing his hands in anticipation. I looked around the pine woods, as if waiting for help, as if the shadows that wreathed around us would take pity on me and take my side. Branches looked like arms, twisted in unusual angles. Blackened bark was their charred skin, and the darkness was the smoke they produced. I can't run, won't get away, they'll catch me. And then? No, I won't run, I won't abandon Polina. Let me warn you, Sema. If you won't hop, you'll take his place, got it? This piece of shit won't? Just look at him, he's a total loony. This loony had already smacked you in the face. Romka's right. Come on, Fatso, assert your dominance. Or we'll make you hop so hard, your pig teeth will fall off. He must indeed be scared of Romka. Semyon swore silently and glared first at me, then at Polina. Here. It'll fit better this way. He hurled a huge ball of spit on the inside of the plastic bunny face and put it close to mine. His spit looked like a squashed spider. Romka's face twisted. He spasmed like a beast, like he wanted to tell Semyon something, but then he suddenly stopped. Polina covered her face with her hands in terror. Semyon was still close by, with a disgusting smirk on his face and a terrible smell coming from his mouth. Put it on, fast, or you are dead. The mask almost looked even more disgusting now, yet despite everything, I felt like it was a chance for salvation. It could become my second skin, if only I was to put it on, if only my face was to touch its bumpy surface. I'm sure the fur will glitter, the ears will tremble like they are alive. I just need to put it on, and Semyon and his friends will be gone. Forever. Well, I feel like in this situation when there are 3 guys against him and they also have a knife, I don't really see a choice. I feel like he will be beaten up hard or dead, even if we just choose the left option, but again, if we put on the mask, then maybe he will start turning into something supernatural, but honestly I'm curious, so I'm going to choose the right option. I know it may be bad, but I'm curious what will happen. I reached out. My hand wasn't shaking anymore. Simeon handed me the mask and let out an evil laugh. The fur felt warm to the touch, just like I expected. I got goosebumps. Electricity flowed through my spine. This is it. My salvation. A voice whispered to me from the well of my subconscious. Just put it on and nobody will hurt you. The forest froze, gazing at me with cracks in the bark. I acted slowly. I took off my glasses. Got rid of the nasty spit on the papier-mâché. There was movement inside of the bunny face, as if something was trying to break out, and I needed to help it. I lifted up the mask and started moving it toward my flaming cheeks, just like in the movie with Jim Carrey. This mask had power. This mask had strength. Carton touched my skin. It enveloped my skull, my nose took the shape of my face. It smelled like an animal lair and pine. My lips touched some sort of hard, wavy material. My armor. Strangely enough, through the slits of the old carnival mask, I was able to see as good as through my glasses. A trio of boys frozen in the clearing. Snowflakes frozen in the air. The trees whose shadows formed black streams toward me. And a weird silhouette in the early twilight behind the windfall. In all that silence, Simeon nervously whispered, "Hey guys, what's up with him?" I broadened my shoulders. My muscles felt like they were made of steel. Invisible plumes of fog flew toward me, breaking off the trees. I was absorbing the forest's power with every pore of my body. I smiled underneath the mask. No, I showed my teeth. My fists were itching. My stomach was growling. He is turning. You asked for this. I made a step forward. Simeon carefully stepped toward me, as if he was walking on thin ice. A trail from my dreams snaked in front of me again. Endless, alluring, it was beckoning me away from all the problems to the new wonderful world, the world of magic Neverland. I pulled on the zipper, opened my coat, and threw it into the snow with a fast motion. Then growled. I felt like something was frantically looking for the exit underneath my skin. I went towards Simeon. He's turning! Damn! Turning into a retard! The clearing blew up in hysteric laughter. Biasha was clutching his stomach. Roma smirked, shaking his head. And Simeon, who was laughing the most out of the three, spat on his knuckles and waved his fist like a club. You're such a moron, Tosha. A fist collided with my mask. The fur didn't dampen the blow at all. There was no power, no magic smoke coming from the pines. I flew toward the bushes and landed on my butt. To my horror, Paulina, pale in the face, stood behind the back of the jeering trio. She looked at me with a mix of surprise and bewilderment, and maybe even disappointment. What else did I expect? that I will turn into a superhero and save her after putting on a piece of old carton on my stupid face? My vision, bolstered by adrenaline a moment before, returned to normal. Polina's nervous face became blurry again. Now that was something. I thought he'd get on all fours and tear us to bits like a carrot. Yo, did ya see that, eh? Did ya? Does this count as him hopping? This was even better. I sobbed. The mask had one advantage. If I cried now, nobody would see my tears. What a loony. You belong in a loony house. For animals, eh? Semyon put his knee into the snow pile and ripped the glasses out of my numbed fingers. Give it back. Give it back, idiot. Give my glasses back. I won't make it home. Bullshit. Haven't you heard that bunnies have good sense of smell? So don't worry, just use it. Hippity hop, hippity hop. Semyon shoved the trophy into his pocket and flashed me a toothy grin. Besides, bunnies don't wear glasses. Now scram, retard. I stood up, still wobbly. The trees became a blurry dark wall. 4 bright silhouettes were wobbling around me. There were black spots on them, their eye sockets and mouths, but it looked to me like there was more of them than it should be. Polina! I felt around aimlessly. One of the figures was about to rush toward me, but was stopped by another. Don't worry, Big Ears. We'll escort Polina ourselves. She'll be in safe hands. You know, there are a lot of shady types snooping around here and all. Right, Polina? She didn't reply, just stepped back toward the bushes. I was overflowing with despair. I turned to the forest. Semyon's boot came to my rescue, kicking me in the butt and quickening my shameful retreat. Hippity hop, hippity hop. I threw the mask into a ravine out of spite, and then zigzagged through the fire break, alone in a giant snow-laden world. The trunks around me bent in all directions. Their treetops disappeared into the darkness above me. The sky was pushing me down. I wanted to cry, but my eyes were completely dry by now. Only sadness and longing were left, a desire to bury myself under the snow, or leave for the Neverland, joining Vova and Senya. Who is Senya? I didn't care where to go, just somewhere far away from here. Somewhere very far away. He reached home, thanks. Hey, what's this? Where are your glasses, Anton? Did you lose them? See, How can you be so careless? Do you think I own a money printing press? Yeah, right. You'll be wearing your old glasses until next year. Oля rushed to me. I saw a fox! Surprise akin to a shotgun blast. I could only flap my lips in reply. A cup shattered into many little pieces with a loud thang. My mom let it fall from her hands. Her face was pale and her eyes were glued to the ground. This pause, just a split second, felt like an eternity. Then my mom spoke with disappointment. First it was an owl, now it's a fox. Will you ever get tired of this? But it's true. She was so fluffy. She stood on her back legs near the hedge, just like a person. The fox called my name, but then Mom came and she fled. There was no fox. Stop making things up. Don't go near her. If it was necessary, I was ready to shake my sister, as if she was a doll made of cloth. What's wrong, Tosha? Don't go, you hear me? Mom entered the hallway and gave me a surprised look. I hesitated. Well, a fox will bite you. I remembered fairy tales where foxes used to kidnap children. I imagined Alisa, liberated, carnivorous, running through the night forest with a dangling sack in her hands. It wasn't a real fox. Tell him, Oля. She stood on two legs and she wore a dress. And she was real. See? Mom showed us a tired smile, as if it was the only explanation needed. I also forced myself to smile. My smile was like a thin piece of soap, right before it dissolves completely on your palm. But when I was left alone with my sister, I whispered, "If you see her again, run." I shut my eyes and threw the vitamins in my mouth, washed them down with water. Please, stop driving me mad, please. I was doing my homework on a Friday evening, like usual. I had already finished the hard part. There was only my art homework left, my favorite subject. I needed to draw some sort of magic beast. I wanted to draw a dino at first, but my brush reached toward the orange paint all by itself. One stroke after another, the picture of a fox started slowly forming on a piece of paper. She was almost popping out of the snow-white sheet. She stood on her back legs and wore a sly smile. My brush moved again, drawing a fluffy tail. A moment later, it dropped out of my weak hand. After I finished my drawing, I spent a while studying it in surprise, as if I couldn't understand where this red beast came from. The longer I looked, the scarier her smile felt. Carnivorous, fake, like the smiles of women from adult magazines that were sold in press kiosks back in the city. An alluring smile that masked deep-seated malice. And the fox's eyes turned out red, as if bloodshot. They looked more like bullet holes you see in action movies. I don't remember drawing them this way. I moved away from the table and the lamp's light reflected from the wet paint. The drawing was glossy. It felt like the fox was watching me. Waiting.
Антон!
Anton!
Ты что, оглох?
Are you deaf? I was just thinking.
Тебя спрашиваю.
I'll
Ты
ask you
сестру не
again.
видел?
Have you seen your sister?
Опять
She's hiding somewhere again. Something moved under my bed and I froze. Ola's dirty face peeked out with a finger pressed to her lips. Shh.
Оля, я
Oля,
тебя
I can see you.
вижу. Вылезай,
Get out of there.
прячься.
You are covered in dust. Oля crawled from under the bed and started dusting off her stockings, looking down.
Пойдем, Оль.
Let's go.
Я тебе сказку
I'll read
почитаю.
you a fairy tale.
Посиди.
keep you company until you fall asleep. I want to sleep with you, not in that room. It's... Mom entered the room. What, the owl again?
А кто ж еще?
And what do you think?
Оль, она...
Оля, it won't come anymore.
Я ее...
I chased it away. Ola shook her head in defiance. You didn't. And it will come. It said that it'll come every night.
О,
Oh,
она у тебя
it talks
говорящая?
now. Ola ignored the question and then asked with newfound determination. Can I sleep with you? Please. This will be the last time. Didn't you say yesterday was the last time?
Ольга, ты уже большая.
Olga, you're a big girl now. Why don't let her sleep in my room? I thought it was a great idea, but Ola shook her head again. No, I don't want your room. It watches you too. I felt goosebumps all over my body. Enough. There is no owl. You are sleeping in your own room tonight, got it? Mom, please. Please. Why is he side-eyeing me? Mom took Ola's hand and tried to lead her out of my room. Let's go, sweetie. Don't bother your brother. Ola clutched the bed's head with her free hand. Please, please, please. If she is so scared, maybe she can sleep in the bathroom. It's better than her room. I don't want to go to it. Mom was tugging Ola toward herself, but she didn't budge. Only the bed's head squeaked in agony. Dad intervened by picking Ola up and carrying her out of the room, despite her desperate protests and pleas. No! Don't take me to it. It's going to watch me again. I've listened to them struggling to make my little sister... I can't read because she's screaming. I've listened to them struggling to make my little sister go to bed for a while. In the end, my parents gave up and let Ola sleep with them. But it was surely the last time, ever. When everybody settled down, I was lying in my room, thinking about Ola's words. It's watching you too. I felt uncomfortable. I barely managed to calm down, only after closing the curtains in my room shut. But as soon as I closed my eyes, memories of my day started jumping around in front of me. I was in the middle of the stuffy school corridor. I could see the literature classroom from here, the faces of dead classical writers on their portraits, the prim and regal pose of our homeroom teacher, Lilia Pavlovna. And around that corner was your daughter Katya, a snitch and a gossip, eagerly waiting for me. Hey, transfer student, transfer student. What do you want, Katya? She got on her tiptoes and started swaying, while hiding her hands behind her back, and then asked me with a fake smile on her face. Can I ask you something? Why did you get transferred here? I might have told the truth about this to Polina, but Katya will sell it on the market for 3 kopeikas. It would be the same as printing all my thoughts and hanging them near Vova's picture for everyone to see. So I reverted to an answer I knew by heart. It's all because of my parents. Dad has a new job here, and my mom... But Katya didn't even listen to me, just rushed toward the perked up ears of her friends, whispered something while stealing glances at me and giggling. Yeah, right. He takes us all for fools. I've heard it's all because of his father. He crossed the road of some big shot, and now their family is hiding in our remote little village. That's not true, you're lying. And did you hear how Baburin beat him up? And all he could do was look all pathetic and take it. Stop it, you know he wasn't alone. And if that wasn't enough, there are rumors that this weirdo carries a bunny mask with him wherever he goes. Who in their right mind would do something like that, huh, girls? I see, our Antoshka must be truly special. Maybe he's an autist, but what if he's a serial killer? I'm sure you'll be able to find an axe in his backpack if you look hard enough, or something even worse. Yes. Shut up. Look at him scream, as if something beat him. His pupils, look at how wide they are. I hope he won't go insane and resort to violence again. I mean, there must be a reason his mom always feeds him those pills, right? I just stood there in confusion, trying in vain to understand how she found out about my medicine, and what scared me even more was the possibility that her nonsense had some truth mixed in. Yes, that's right. He's as insane as his little sister. Can you imagine that she says a human-sized owl visits her every night? Yes. But not a single healthy person has seen it. And this simpleton believes her. Can you imagine that? And then I caught a single kind look from the smirking crowd. How can it be, Anton? Are you unwell? Polina, please listen to me. Yeah, right. Don't listen to this liar, Polinochka. He's probably never even been to Moscow. This loser can't even stand up for himself. And he won't be able to defend you if it comes down to it. He'll run away to protect his own skin. Weakling. Polina slouched as if someone kicked her in the stomach, and then burst out in tears and fell to the dirty floor, wailing and screaming. No! Why, Anton, why? I couldn't understand her reaction, but I still rushed to Polina's side before getting shoved violently by Katya. Get your paws off her, you monster! Rage was building up under the veil of my fear. It slowly rose from the cloudy mist. I felt my upper lip lift, creep up, showing my teeth. The fact that your father beats your mother doesn't give you the right to do the same to girls. My fists became hammers. I couldn't unclench them. Nobody can speak about my family like that. I came to my senses when I already lunged at the angry Katya. Aha! He went nuts! Help! Petrov went completely insane. At the same moment, the crowd around her became louder. It started whistling and roaring. and growling. The subtle silhouettes of my schoolmates became larger, wider. They shot upward toward the ceiling, turned into a giant black forest, chock full of toothy faces. I shrank to a tiny ball of fur and started shaking in fear before the might of unclear, wreathen trunks that belonged to either trees or humans. It was impossible to tell. So you've finally shown your animal nature? Coward. Katya's face was twisted with jubilation and ecstasy. Anton! Why? No! Why did you do this to me? Polina screamed while choking on her tears. He's just an animal. An outsider. A scary flapping of wings came from the forest. A pair of giant white ears descended somewhere from above, and I dug myself into them. Anton, Anton! Please! Wake up! I jumped up, almost falling out of bed. Apparently, I was thrashing around for hours on the sweat-soaked sheets. Ola's scream pulled me out, set me free from the tentacles of fear. Anton, please, wake up, wake up. It took my eyes a while to focus on the silhouette near the window. Ola's voice was distant. My head was still ringing after the fight. Sounds got distorted, as if my ears were stuffed with cotton. My sister, as distressed as ever, just kept on repeating the same phrase. The owl, the owl. Please, I'm scared. Her tears poured on my heart like boiling water, but I was almost thankful for the owl's appearance. Otherwise, this scared Ola wouldn't have woken me up. Wait a second, Ola. Want me to read Murzilka for you? Murzilka, a Soviet and Russian monthly illustrated magazine for kids. It has been published since 1924. The magazine uses an unidentified yellow creature wearing a scarf and a red beret as its mascot. Writers like Samuil Marshak and Agnia Barto contributed to the magazine early in their careers. Give me... I placed my bare heels on the cold floor, felt around for my glasses, remembered Simeon, his underhanded acts, and sighed. Anton, please, please, look. She couldn't tear her eyes off the window, as if it was a staring contest. I found the light switch with my hand. The lamp poured bright light all over me. I got up. My vision fooled me, moving the window closer only to push it farther the next moment. My sister was just a blurry spot. I took a hesitant step forward. Oля, what's there? What happened? Do you want me to open the curtains? No, please don't. The owl is there. The voice was coming from behind. I turned around and froze from terror. Teary-eyed Ola stood in the doorway. Who were you talking to right now? She stared at me with eyes that were red from crying, with her hands wrapped around her shoulders. Her voice was nervous, as if she was afraid to hear my answer. I was talking to you, to someone who pretended to be you. The ledge outside my windows creaked ominously, as if something huge was sitting on top of it. And the thing that pretended to be Oля started spreading, changing shape, grow to scary heights under the light of a carnivorous moon. Anton! Please! Come closer! Come here! The voice didn't belong to my sister anymore. Ah, okay. The thing that was hiding behind my curtains got tired of pretending, making me look like a fool. I pinched myself as hard as I could, hoping that the silhouette near the window was just a continuation of my nightmare, a hallucination brought upon by cursed house. And those don't bite, do they? The silhouette was towering before me under the veil of mist. I heard Ola's shrill scream when someone had knocked on the window. Knock, knock. It came to get us. Another knock. I stepped back into the middle of the room, as if there existed nooks where I could hide from this horror. Knock, knock. The sound was sharp, metallic. The lamp started shimmering. Then it suddenly lighted the whole room and went out, like a candle in the strong wind. The filament inside it snapped with a ringing sound. The darkness that was waiting for the exact moment poured from all the angles and enveloped me. There was only this window left in the whole universe. Moonlight poured through it, painting everything the color of bones that were exhumed from a crypt. Oля started squealing and pressed herself into my back, seeking protection. And then an eye, burning with a carnivorous fire, stared at us from the window. Knock, 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 knock. No, it wasn't trying to break the window. It was toying with us. It just kept on knocking, driving us mad. Knock, 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 knock. As if a giant clock was measuring the time left for us, its pendulum swinging above the abyss. Go away! Get out! Shoo! She was screaming in desperation, her hands clutching my arm like a pair of pincers. Anton! Anton! I could barely make out a pair of wings that spread out above the black spot. Tell her, Anton! Tell it that I won't be a bad girl anymore. Never ever. I just wanted to leave. Please. The moonlight suddenly disappeared, and the room descended into darkness. We couldn't see the burning eye anymore. I swallowed the stinging lump that was stuck in my throat. I stepped toward the curtains, entranced by the call of this disfigured guest. Oля was standing behind me, mumbling, "I'll be good, I'll be good, I'll be good." The bleak window was creeping closer, curtains rustled. I reached out to move them aside, so I could look my fear in the eye. At that moment, I heard noise coming from our parents' bedroom. Without thinking, I pulled the curtain to the side in one swing. Nothing. Though there was something shining on the ledge among the scattered feathers. My glasses. The ones that Simeon took from me. How did they get here? Was that a gift from the gurgling night? Did that owl really bring them here? I looked at the front yard, at the foreboding clearing, at the toothy forest. Not a soul, not a trace of our late-night guest. Only the old lamppost, dreaming like a lone witchman among the snowy desert. The dry window frame creaked. The dry window frame creaked. I tore away the insulating tape and the types of glued newspapers. Window insulation. Before plastic windows became widely accessible in Russia, the cracks in frames of wooden windows were filled with cotton of pieces of cloth and sealed with self-adhesive tape or strips of newspapers soaked in soapy water to conserve heat in winter. Opened the window with big trouble. Frost pinned me with its little needles. The paintings on my walls moved from the draft. I touched my glasses. Sure, they would melt in my hands. But they were real. My brain was scrambling for an explanation. Semyon and his gang just pulled a prank on me. That was it. That's it. A smooth white blanket was glittering under the street lamp just outside our yard. If anybody was to get close to the house, to climb the pipe to the ledge of my window, they would surely leave footprints. But there were none. I cautiously took my glasses. My wrist was still intact. Nobody pulled me into the darkness, full of restless writhing. Why aren't you in bed? I swayed from surprise and almost fell out of the window. Are you out of your mind? Did it feel hot in here? Do you want to catch a cold? The owl was here. Tosha chased it away. Go to your room immediately and get in your bed. And you... Mom paused, directing her seething eyes at me. She was thinking of a punishment equivalent to my crime. In the end, she just waved her hand, took Oля by the shoulder and left, throwing gloomy words my way. We'll talk tomorrow. I managed to get the frame back in place with a couple of hits, pressed in the latches with all the strength my fingers could muster. The cold left the room, but the fear was still present. I placed my glasses on my nose and started studying my reflection in the window. It didn't look like a face, more like a death mask, just like the one worn by the boy from the notice board. That night, I was on the edge of joining him there. A black and white face was staring at me through the clearing between student heads. And it wasn't Vova. His face was right beside it. I recognized the fat cheeks, the damaged skin. Semyon. Baburin's photo was printed out and placed under the glass, like an exhibition piece.